All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, y'all. This is episode one of what I like to call the Rob Report. This is just going to be like a stream of consciousness, things that I'll talk about that's on my mind. I guess you could almost call it like a blog or a vlog or whatever you want to call it. But I promised myself in this year of 2024, I was gonna make a better effort to make content, right? Um, and I've been thinking of like so many different ways, of doing that, partnering with people to do those things, which I've done in the past throughout the years, where I partnered with people and I just said, you know what, let me just do something for myself. And I'm still partnering with people. Like I have things coming in the year that I'm currently working on. But I also started to think to myself, at what point do you start just doing things for you, right? So that's my question of the night. For those people who are like me, are used to just working with other people and doing things, what point did you come to realize that, yo, I need to just do things for self, right? And whatever that may be, that's whether it's, you know, working on whatever your dream is, or maybe you need to figure out a way to make more money, or maybe you have some type of addiction that you need to work out and get past, or maybe you're going through something right now and you're not taking the time necessary to focus on yourself because you're so focused on trying to do other things that benefit other people that you neglect yourself at the end of the day. And I think it's important to take inventory of where you are, right? Self assess. Maybe even deeper than that. Maybe you might need to soul assess, right? Soul assess. That's deep, right? Um, Really taking the time to look at where you are as a person. Maybe you're going through some things, right? Maybe you're feeling some things. Maybe you're experiencing some bouts of depression, right? I think we can all relate to that to some degree, especially to the fellas, right? And this is not to push ladies to the side at all because we all go through similar things for different reasons, right? And for similar reasons too, but specifically, I'm really speaking to the guys right now. Whoever watches this, feel free to chime in. But guys, like, when is that moment of damn, this shit is really getting like tough for me to move forward and push through whatever it is that I'm dealing with? When does that typically happen? Can you see it coming? Do you have like telltale signs of like when you feel those feelings of being overwhelmed are beginning to show their face, so to speak, right? I personally can kind of feel it when it's coming, like when those feelings are starting to surface. I can kind of feel it. Pause. That sounds so crazy. I can kind of tell when those feelings are starting to build up a little bit, right? I'm somebody who works extremely hard, like most Americans do, right? But I work extremely hard, and I don't really take vacations like that. Um, I've been recommended to take vacations all the time, but I'm of the mindset of, for me to take a vacation away from the work doesn't really do me any good because I'm coming right back to do the work, right? And like, if I'm in a groove, I'd rather just work and continue to have my groove as opposed to leaving the groove that I'm in, you know, to go do something else and then having to come back and it's a weird thing. Like coming back in now, I have to kind of reset my mind to try to get back to that place where I already was mentally. But uh, a lot of times I feel I get burnt out, right? Um, Especially because I work 7 days a week. You know, most people don't know that, but yeah, I work every day. I go extremely hard, but I managed to I managed to work through it and give myself the necessary time to, rest and do the necessary things. 'Cause, obviously I don't work so hard for no reason. I have my own personal goals and financial goals that I won't talk about here. But at times it gets extremely difficult because, the mental fatigue, right? Sometimes you kind of feel like you are on, um, you are on, what is those things that like, I guess like guinea pigs, little wheel shit, right? You on one of them joints. You're just running around and spinning the wheel, you spinning the wheel, spinning the wheel, and you get tired, right? And you just want to. Different times I just wanted to quit, right? I just wanted to be like, yo, I can't fuck with this, and it's taking its toll on me. But I also remember that when I get to that point, I have to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing in the first place, right? Um, and that keeps me moving. Um, I will also say that, being in the present state that I am, it's one of the few times in my life where I've had to work through not being motivated all the time, right? And I've heard that statement often when it comes to, whether it's like gurus or self-help people, they may say motivation motivation doesn't matter. It's the discipline that matters, because when the motivation is gone, you need something to push you through. And I will say in the last year, I have learned through experience that that is 1000% true. The motivation matters to a degree, because sometimes that'll give you that little energy, that little boost, that little kick in the ass that you need to actually go do what it is that you need to do. But it don't stay. It doesn't linger around. It doesn't stick around for very long. And every day is like a battle, right? Every day is like a battle that you can imagine that, like, if you're in war. I've never been to the military. I've never been in a war, but I could imagine that it ain't really about the motivation, right? Maybe the motivation initially is you want to complete the mission, right? But I'm pretty sure that those days where maybe the training is kicking your ass, or you're not too sure if you're going to make it back, or whatever the case may be, that at that point you just got to find something much deeper than the motivation to push you through. So I guess that's kind of what this first episode is about, right? What happens when that those feelings start to emerge, and I think I can speak for everybody that when those feelings of like depression or sadness or whatever start to emerge, that will drain you of your motivation. It will absolutely drain you of your motivation. And then that will, I think in turn, that turns into like the mental fatigue, and then that turns into the physical fatigue. And then I feel like that's when the depression hits you the most, or the sadness or lack of motivation hits you the most. And you're just like, fuck, I don't even want to do anything. There are the days where you don't even want to get out of bed, right? And it's tough. It's really tough. Um, it's tough to pull yourself out of your own rut, right? Out of like a dark place, out of a place of not wanting to continue to do what it is that you're doing, that you just want to quit. And even if you have a goal in mind, I think it's the way that this world is set up, the way that life is set up. It's so easy to be discouraged and thrown off your track, right? You might have had, for example, like last year, one of my goals was to lose 20 pounds. I was, uh, I wouldn't say morbidly obese, but I was definitely way too high on the BMI index. And I knew it. I kind of knew it, but I don't keep a scale in my house. I haven't had a scale in my house in like years, right? But I knew I was fat. You know what I'm saying? A nigga was eating very good, with no shame. No shame. I was eating very good 2, 3 times a day. I had no shame. You understand me? You know what I mean? Because it wasn't stopping nothing. Definitely wasn't stopping nothing. It wasn't stopping my daily activities. It wasn't stopping me in the, right? You know what I mean? Getting that hair. Yeah, you got, my fellas. You know what I'm talking about. I ain't gotta say it. I ain't gotta say it. If you know you don't get in that get in that you know what I mean? But it wasn't stopping that, still going out, having a good time. But it wasn't until COVID when I started to realize like, oh shit, like yeah, I might have me a little problem. You know what I'm saying? I was sick, but like it just affected me in a way that, you know, affected my lung capacity, right? And that's when I started to realize like, And then also I tore a ligament in my knee. Um, Granted, it was an accident, but I still feel like maybe the excess weight might have contributed to that. But I say all that to say this: I was motivated, and I was like, "Yo, I have to drop this weight, bro," because it was the biggest I'd ever been in my life. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. So I had to do something about it. And I was motivated, and I got on my grizzly. You know what I'm saying? I changed up my eating habits. I was meal prepping every day. I was going to the gym 3, 4 times a week, and before I knew it, I lost like 20 pounds, right? And it was great. But after the 20 pounds was lost, I started to slip up a little bit, day by day. I was like, oh, okay, well, I might eat a cheat meal here. It's cool because I already know the trick to get the weight off, right? And slipping. And before you know it, you back eating the same. Before I knew it, I was back eating the same bullshit. I was eating the same garbage. Now I haven't completely gained all of the weight, but what I will say is, as the new year has came in, due to the things that was going on in my life and how hard I was working, I started to realize like, I'm just really not motivated to be going to the gym every day. Well, not every day, but like 3 or 4 times a week. Because I had a lot of shit going on. I was just like mentally tired. Like the work was starting to catch up to me. You know, how I wouldn't want to. I stopped meal prepping because I would just be so tired. And having to anybody who knows about meal prepping, you might have to put aside, depending on what you're cooking, you might have to put aside maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours potentially to meal prep for the whole week. You know what I'm saying? Because I would meal prep for the whole week. I would try to have like 14 meals, two a day, not including breakfast, just like lunch and dinner. And that is taxing, when you're trying to come up with planned meals every week and you're trying to find time to cook. And, a lot of my cooking was done like, because I'm not frying shit. So I'm using the oven and da 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 da. And then on top of that, your regular errands that you have to do as an adult, you know, shit started to take its toll. And it was starting to eat at me a little bit. And I didn't realize that me not going to the gym and continuing to get to the goal was starting to affect me mentally. I thought it was more so just being caught up in this never ending wheel of work, and, work and sleep essentially. Throwing a little sprinkle in a little TV here and there, working, it was starting to get to me. But I'm starting to realize now that I need to do more, right? I have to do more. Um, I have to lay out my plans and lay out my goals to be able to take me from the point where I'm working every day, making a certain amount of money, to still working every day, just not as physically demanding, just to get me more than what I'm actually making from working every day, right? And that's really my main goal, is to be able to take advantage of the time that I'm working right now, where I'm making X amount of dollars, and be able to use that to help get me out of the position that I'm in by making more amount of dollars, right? And then other things, there are other motivations that I have, but that is the goal for me right now, right? And doing other things to help me get out of where I am. So I want to wrap this episode up by saying you can't ignore the work, right? Continue to work hard on whatever it is that you're doing, but also try to remember that the motivation doesn't last all the time, right? The motivation will fade. Even when you're hitting your goals and you're hitting your expectations, the motivation will fade. And once the motivation fades, you have to dig a little deeper within yourself, pause, to be able to push through those moments of whether it's like sadness or maybe you feel defeated or maybe you might feel like you're not doing enough, right? Sometimes you got to just tell yourself like, yo, it's okay to feel these feelings, but recognize what these feelings are. And um, you're on a journey and you have, there's a saying that I like this. It's a saying that I have that I tell to my mans all the time. You know, you're at war every day, right? You got to pick up your sword because as a man, you got to pick up your sword and do what you got to do. So never drop your sword, right? Sometimes you might have to take a knee though, and it's okay to take a knee. Sometimes you might have to take a drink of water. Sometimes you might have to self-assess. Sometimes you might have to soul assess to see where you are and reassure yourself that you're doing something for the right reasons. All right. So this is episode one of the Rob Report. Stay tuned for more. Peace.